Baptist podcast we gather around to talk theology, politics, and the sweet banjo sound. Kevin Thompson leads the way, teacher and preacher too. With a men's quartet, the harmonies ring true. Gather around the mic, let's find our way, singing praises, strumming banjo strings all day. Amputated Baptist podcast where we all belong. Join the harmony, let it carry us along. With a passion for faith and a banjo by our side, we don't deep, we don't hide, we take it all in stride. From parables to politics, every topic on the table, let's harmonize together, let's make it stable. In the chord progressions we find our peace, singing praises, strumming banjo strings all day. Amputated Baptist podcast where we all belong. Join the harmony, let it carry us along.
Theology, politics, and a little bit of banjo. You're listening to the Amputated Baptist podcast. And now, here is your host, the Amputated Baptist himself, Kevin Thompson.
All right, welcome back to the podcast, and we are welcoming a familiar guest, Pastor Curtis King. Pastor King, welcome to our back to the podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me back.
And I am once again doing this from home, and not in my usual classroom studio, as some health-related issues. I'm at the house today. So you're going to hear the dog. You're going to hear maybe my son Tony if he ever gets up. And he had a late night last night working. But we're going to make the best of this. And I've been excited about this for a while. We're going to do something we haven't done on this podcast before, and that's review a movie. And so to review this movie, I invited the biggest nerd I could find. And that's Curtis. So... and I say that somewhat in jest, somewhat, tell us, okay, we're talking
it's endearing.
Superman movie. I have been waiting months to see this. I love Superman. I grew up on Superman. That's what makes me a DC guy over a Marvel guy, even though most of the Marvel movies are more popular and probably better than what they've done than what DC has done. But in my heart of hearts, I'm a Superman fan. So, Chris, tell us, what do you feel about that? What's your thoughts on just Superman in general before we get to the movie?
Well, I have been waiting. I'm not trying to one-up you here, but I've been waiting 2 years for this movie. Ever since they announced it, I have not waited for a movie for so long. I love Superman. Superman probably... This is weird because I have two favorite pop cultural characters, and they're on a kind of very different ends of the diagram, I guess. It's a tie between Superman and Mickey Mouse, and I guess Mickey is just
put those two together, but
well, it's just because. Well, for Mickey, it's just my love of classic animation, and I'm a student of Walt's life, and so Mickey is just very, very important. I'll even say to me, but Superman, he is either a tie for first place with Mickey, or I would even say he might even beat Mickey. Superman has always just been a very special character. In my life. I know that there's a lot of people who are like, oh, well, Batman's better. We like Batman more.
No.
And they'll say that Superman is boring. And it's like, no. You don't – if you think that Superman is boring, then you either haven't seen any Superman or you haven't seen the right Superman. They talk about how, he's indestructible and – you can't make a story with him being so powerful and yada, yada, yada. And without going too much into the movie already, I think this movie proved that.
Oh, yeah.
That's not true.
For sure. Yeah,
but
Batman is just without his gadgets, he's just a rich guy with a shaded past. Um,
right,
Superman embodies what I mean. It's truth, justice, and the American way. So I grew up listening. Okay, I'm not that old, but I grew up on the old 1950s George Reeves Superman because
yes,
that's what my dad watched, and so it was black and white for a while. I think they colorized some of it or toward the end or something. But so I grew up on that one. Then so I was born in 77, 78, the first major picture. So
right,
Christopher Reeves is Superman in my mind. And
yes,
so, and in the original John Williams score, um, that's what I think of Superman. John Williams, by the way, I think just a brilliant. I'm not into instrumental music. I'm not into movie scores and soundtracks and things like that. But John Williams is just a brilliant guy who could bring to life things you wouldn't like. Who would think of music associated with a shark?
right,
Or just a Superman theme just amazes me. But so anyway,
right. It's
so
beautiful. Well, think about Star Wars. That's
yeah,
John Williams. Star Wars, frankly, would not be what it is without
right,
the music.
yeah,
It's a my son walks around the hallways doing da da
yeah.
da da da. So
And you can't even think of Darth. You can't even think of Darth Vader without his march.
right,
So
exactly.
it'd be weird with any other music. So yeah, I grew up on Superman. I've always enjoyed Superman, and I watched all of the I guess I'll say original, but they're not originals. Um, Superman 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Right.
4 was kind of weird.
Christopher, yes.
It, it, I guess it was like woke before woke was woke. About getting abolishing nuclear weapons, things like that. Superman 2, awesome. Superman 3. Superman 2 had a little bit of a darker theme. Superman 3 was a little more fun, but the original Superman I could watch again and again and again. It's just a fun movie. And I think this movie returns to that idea where it's just a fun movie.
Right.
What are your thoughts? I mean, because we had, 2 or 3 movies in between the Christopher Reeve Superman and this current adaptation. I think this gets back to what I'm used to.
Right. Well, yeah. I think one of my biggest thoughts about this whole thing was, and you've seen reviews already.
Yeah, yeah,
Most are positive,
right.
but then you've got a few that are like, "This is trash," and I think a lot of it comes down to when you picture Superman in your mind, who do you picture? And for the people who picture Christopher Reeves, they're gonna love this movie.
Yes, yes.
For me, I picture I grew up on Superman the animated series,
Okay.
and that was my Superman. And I'll tell you, James Gunn, when he made this movie, I think he watched a whole lot of Christopher Reeves and a whole lot of Superman the animated series.
Yeah.
But if your Superman is Man of Steel, Henry Cavill, which we can't talk about this movie without bringing that up.
Yeah.
You're going to be disappointed. And I love Henry Cavill, and he's a great actor,
Right.
but he didn't embody the ideals
No.
of Superman.
Yeah.
And I think that's why there's such a divide here. Because of my upbringing, Superman the animated series, I had the old DVD of all the George Reeves stuff, where they couldn't film him landing, so he has to land behind a boulder and walk out, things like that. Because of that and a little bit of comics, I loved it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a return to form, very much so.
Right.
And it's sloppy, I'll say it. It is sloppy, but it's beautiful. It's sloppy but beautiful.
Yes. So we talked about the reviews, and I was worried because I'm a political guy,
Yes.
and I heard rumors, heard chatter online. This is woke Superman. This is, it's going to get into immigration, and it's going to get into that debate, and it's against Trump or whatever. And after having seen it now,
No.
I look at that like, you got to really, really read into some things to draw that conclusion.
Yes.
And it's just not. It's not a fair and accurate portrayal. It is political. And it gets into geopolitics,
Right.
but not anything related to what we're debating about now in Washington.
Right. And if you're trying to, and I know we're trying to start with spoiler-free territory, but the things that are happening in this movie are things that have happened throughout human history.
Right.
They didn't just start a few years ago with Trump.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be as vague as possible there. So,
Right.
So that's silly. And comparing at the ending where Superman, I think they're trying to conflate being an alien
Yeah.
to being an illegal
Right.
alien,
Right.
and those two things are not the same thing.
No.
At all.
Right.
So it's, I think it's just some people trying to put stuff in there that
Yeah.
not in there just to be
This is
divisive.
a fun movie, and you've got to watch it with that expectation.
Right.
Politics aside, for the next 2 hours, just sit back, grab your popcorn, and just have fun with this.
Yes. And listen, you know me. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
I am highly sensitive to that stuff.
Right.
I have stopped watching certain studios because of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that I'm the standard for this, but if anybody were to have been sensitive to wokeness or anything like that, it would have been me. I walked away saying, other than a little blip in one scene in the background, there's nothing. Absolutely nothing.
All right, and we're not going to give any spoilers away yet, but
Yes.
I'm going to warn you, we are going to get into that, and I'll give you I'll announce that ahead of time, because there are some things I want to get into. So if you want to pause it at that point, right now, don't worry about that. We're just going to talk things in general, and then we'll get into some of the spoiler alert type stuff. One of the things I thought about this movie was interesting. I'm trying to pull up my notes here, and yes, I was probably the only guy in the theater taking notes as I'm watching this. That makes me the nerd that I am. The only warning I would give, and I don't know if you had the same experience, but so I took my kids with me. I don't know if I would have done that again. There's some language in there. They love to use the S word for some reason.
Yes. It's his favorite word.
Yeah. Making it a hashtag even.
Yeah.
There's one scene. There's the Lois and Clark are making out, and okay, I kids, close your eyes. But for me, the previews, we had a bad experience with the previews. We had 3 previews. 2 of them were cartoons, but right in the middle was a rated R movie. I'm not even going to mention it.
Oh.
And it was pretty profane. And I thought, why would you? This is a PG-13 movie. Why would you put it in a rated R movie that had so many innuendos? Like, oh man, kids. So just
are you referring to the Liam Neeson movie?
Yes.
Coming out? Okay. Yeah. That was yeah.
Yeah, so we had Cat in the Hat and Bad Guys 2, which are 2 animated films made for kids. And then right in the middle of that was the Liam Neeson movie. And it's just oh, man, my wife is going to kill me. So I'd be warned. Other than that, I don't think there was too much. There was one scene with a Russian roulette
Yes.
thing that was a little again if I've got kids, but I think PG-13 is where this pretty much is. If you've got a teenager, I'm pretty sure they can handle this.
Right. And
Below that,
with that Russian roulette thing, I was, in fact, I had this conversation with my wife last night. Um, I did feel like if you had to have that part in there, they did it as tastefully as they could.
yeah.
Um, but again, you didn't have to have it in there. You know, you're the writer of this movie. So.
Right.
My son, he heard that I was going to go see Superman, and he's been asking questions ever since. Like, what is Superman? Where'd he come from, and all that. And I told my wife last night, it breaks my heart that I cannot introduce my son to Superman because of that language.
Yeah.
And frankly, it's not just once or twice. Even if it were just once or twice, it's a lie. I mean, it's part of the plot, even.
Yep.
These studios need to figure something out. And hey, James Gunn, if you're listening right now,
I'm
take some
sure
notes.
he is.
Yeah, right, exactly. If you want to get the biggest possible audience, you have to be family friendly.
Right. Especially with a movie like Superman.
Yes. You're introducing Superman to a whole new generation.
Right.
So why not make it as accessible as possible? You can still have a PG-13 rating without having the language, without having the innuendo, without having all that kind of stuff. I took my son to Revenge of the Sith a while back, and it's PG-13. It's PG-13 because of intensity, but no language, nothing like that.
Right.
That is my biggest gripe with this movie. But anyway,
there's just no need for it.
No, not at all. And the whole part about that curse word being part of the plot, it's a gag. It's just a silly little gag that, well, and if we're talking about the criticisms of this movie, I guess that is a good segue. But it's a silly little throwaway gag that didn't need to be in there.
Right.
But
of course, the biggest problem I had, and I might be the only one who noticed this, and I don't know, I guess the theologian in me perked up when I heard. So we're talking about a part of this movie, part of the plot involves the creation of these pocket universes where Superman's going to be held. And at one point, Lex Luthor talks about how he recreated the Big Bang. And I heard, whoa, Big Bang? Oh, no.
Right.
I'm a young Earth creationist. I don't believe, but I mean, he said it one time. Not a big thing, but my ears perked up at that point.
Well, yeah, I mean, for them, that's all a matter of fact.
Right.
Which that is a whole other podcast episode.
Yeah, that's very true. I did like, you've got an adoption theme that runs throughout, especially. Okay, spoiler alert. Pause if you want to pause this or whatever. But especially at the end, one of the themes talks about. Okay, I gave you the warning.
There you go.
Coming back. So if you want to pause this now, you can pause it now. I still get credit for the download. But at one of the themes has been his parents from Krypton sends him a message that there's the Fortress of Solitude, and it's a recurring message that he watches for comfort, but then we see, he didn't get the full message, and this is I think a departure from previous movies where now he's supposed to be dominant. It's not just go and help humanity, but now you're supposed to dominate humanity, rule over it, and that really shocks people. It shocks him. But at the end, when he goes back to the Fortress of Solitude and he wants to see the video of his parents, it's his earthly parents, his adoptive parents. And as an adoptive dad, that was like, oh, I love that ending. that ending to me was phenomenal.
I do have a gripe with the ending, not in regards to that,
Okay.
but you're absolutely right. And in the comics, there's actually an Elseworlds comic about Superman landing from Krypton into Soviet Russia,
Mm,
and how his life and frankly the entire world is completely different
yeah.
because Superman was raised in Soviet Russia rather than small town Kansas,
Yeah.
by decent people. Superman is not the product of Jor-El or I forget his
Yeah.
mother's name, but he is the product of the kids. He is, and that's the difference between Superman and Batman. Is that if you ask Batman, "Who are you?" he says, "I'm Batman." If you ask Superman who he is, he says, "I'm Clark Kent,"
Right.
because he was born by a and again that's the whole truth, justice, and the American way thing.
Right.
He is as American as it comes. Um,
And this movie doesn't diminish that at all.
no,
And again,
no,
it's one of the things that people I think were worried about going into this. But no, he is thoroughly American in this movie completely.
right, yeah, and they don't, you don't have to say truth, justice, and the American way for truth, justice, and the American way to be true.
Yeah.
It's not the phrase that's important; it's the ideals that are.
Right.
And I think that ending with really touching on how his earthly parents are his parents. I think that was a beautiful
Yeah.
ending. The truth, justice, and the American way thing. I think that if I love that phrase,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I can understand why they don't use it anymore because that phrase, the American way, is so. You ask one person what the American
Right.
way is, and they're going to have a completely different answer than someone else.
Right. Someone of my generation is not going to have the same answer as someone of this generation.
Right. Right, exactly. So it's unfortunately it's a divisive phrase. I
Yeah.
wish it weren't, but it is. And again, James Gunn was trying to be as undivisive, is that even not divisive.
Yeah.
um my gripe with the ending, and this I guess this is a James Gunn thing, or I struggle with movies that, and this is a minor criticism. I struggle with movies where they can't figure out how to stick the landing,
Yeah.
so they have a character turn on a song and they start dancing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was a common theme through like all the DreamWorks movies for so many years,
Right.
and then Disney even was getting on board with some of that in their animated movies. And it's like, well, how do you finish the movie? Turn on a pop song, we're all gonna dance
Yeah.
to it. And for me, when I saw the was it Robot 4 Gary,
Yep.
when he pops on the music, and I'm like, oh no, are you really gonna end the movie with a little song? And I don't. I felt like if they would have just stuck to the whole watching videos of him and his
Yeah.
parents with some, swelling orchestral John Williams music, with a big smile on his face, boom, Superman logo pops up, the end. But again, I think this was James Gunn getting in his own way.
Yeah. Well, they had to set up the Supergirl movie, which is apparently what's coming out next.
Yes.
The little teeny bopper Supergirl niece or whatever, and yeah.
Now, how much of Supergirl are you familiar with? You talked about Christopher Reeves. You talked about what about Supergirl?
I am really not familiar with her at all. That was never an aspect of this I ever got into.
Okay, all right.
So my main
See-
Superman influence was Christopher Reeves, the Christopher Reeves movies, which
Right.
don't mention her at all.
Yeah, the Helen Slater movie came out, early '80s or something.
Yeah.
It, it is hard to nail down her personality because every iteration of her is just so different.
Yeah.
Helen Slater is very much a Christopher Reeves super heroic, whereas the latest Supergirl show, and I'll tell you, I was excited about Supergirl when it first came out, but Supergirl, well, very political type of show.
Mm.
So I didn't know what to expect when Supergirl came onto the screen. And we'll see.
Yeah. The only
We'll
thing
see.
I remember about Supergirl was back in 2015, 2016, when it first came out, the show, Jeb Bush, running for president, made some really awkward comment about Supergirl being hot or something. And that's the only thing I remember about that.
Okay.
That's how my mind thinks. What do you think about Crypto? That I loved Crypto in this movie, the dog, and thought they used that. I loved that. My kids loved it, especially towards the end, where when Superman's actually fighting a clone of himself at that point, and Crypto comes in.
So we are officially truly in spoiler territory. We're saying that,
Yes.
just saying that again. Yes, I love Crypto, and I know that some people. Okay, Crypto is the embodiment of what this whole thing is about. It's goofy, it's
Right.
silly, but Superman is silly.
Yeah.
Silver Age Superman is, man, they even had a super horse at one time. So don't come at me with Superman is not silly. You
Yeah.
know? So Crypto is mostly comedy relief. But he does get a few very important, I mean, he's important to the movie. I loved him. I thought he was great.
Yeah,
and
I wasn't sure what to think about that at first. I had seen Crypto in was it Super Pets?
Yes.
And I thought, oh, I don't know if this, but oh no, I loved it. I loved it in this movie. He just fit well. It was a little silly, but it was just entertaining, and again, it was just fun. So yeah, I thought it fit within the plot. It fit within everything, and I thought, yeah, this is just good fun, and I really enjoyed that aspect, which I didn't expect I would.
You know, this is a common thread that we're pulling here. 1 second. Oh, okay. A common thread that we're pulling here is it's fun.
Yeah,
That it's meant to be fun. And like I said a minute ago about him watching a lot of Christopher Reeves and a lot of Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, I think he also watched a whole lot of Man of Steel to write notes on what not to do.
yeah.
Because I like Man of Steel, but you can't compare these two things.
No.
And the people that try to, I think it's foolish. This is meant to be a fun, happy, hopeful movie.
Right.
And putting Crypto in, it was a perfect fit for the vibe they were trying to go for. So
Now, I got to ask you what you thought about. Okay, so they try to, again, we're in spoiler territory, so this is fair game. And if you haven't turned it off now, it's your own fault. But they try to solve the mystery of why is it that people are fooled just by Clark Kent's glasses? You put the glasses on, he's Clark Kent. You take it off, he's Superman. How can people be that stupid? But
Right.
now we see the glasses are special. They're hypnotic glasses. I haven't been familiar with the comic book or the animated series. Is that something that they just made up, or is this something that they've pulled from?
that is actually from the Silver Age,
Okay.
which I found that out. And honestly, it's a good explanation because there's the most recent Superman show. I don't know if you've watched it. It's Superman and Lois. It
Okay, yeah,
ended
I've heard
like
of it.
a year ago. I'm not gonna lie. That is the one part of Superman that is just. There's one scene where Clark and Lois are sitting in front of Lois's dad, who is like a general in the U.S. Army, and she's like, "Dad, we have something to tell you." And Clark says, "I know who Superman is," and he's like, "Oh, who is it?" And he's like, I'm Superman." And the general's like, "Oh, come on, son, you're just messing with me." He goes, and no one's watching this. This is a podcast.
Yeah.
But you see him like just slowly taking off his glasses, and then there's a lens flare, and he just looks at the general, and the general, his mouth just drops like, "Oh my goodness, you are Superman! Wow!" It's like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the hypno glasses thing, I'll take it. I'll buy that.
Yeah, again, it's a stupid movie, so we can't overanalyze this. But in the vein of overanalyzing this, I am gonna overanalyze it. This is not so. Obviously, this is the Amputated Baptist podcast. We talk about theology, we talk about politics. We don't usually talk about movies, but I'm going to inject a little bit of theology here. This is not a Christian movie by any stretch of the imagination. But I do find it interesting that there was the scene toward the end. So part of the backdrop of this movie is a war between two fictional European nations. And whether it's Russia and Ukraine or whatever, but it's a big country invading a little country. And at the end, was it Bavaria against another country I can't think of. But these other
Jakarta.
Yeah.
A big weird name.
They're basically a bunch of peasants who are facing this huge army of people that are about to come in over the border. And then you have a kid who raises up a flag with the Superman symbol. And he's almost like praying. And
I'll tell you,
yeah.
I told you when I as soon as I got out, I said, I can't do this without doing it in the voice. I wrote to you, I laughed, I cried, it killed me, Bob. That thrilled me, Bob. And I literally throughout this movie laughed and cried, and that part right there, oh my goodness. I hate admitting this, but I was almost weeping like a baby. Anyway, continue. I'm sorry.
Well, it was a very emotional moment for sure. And I can't help but think, but like I think it does show man's natural desire for some sort of salvation, in the sense of we recognize the world is broken. Things are not the way they should be. And we need some sort of superhuman outside of this world fix for that. And it's within a person. Again, this is not a theological movie. James Gunn, as far as I know, is not a Christian in any way. But I do think, as a Christian, I can look at this and see, you don't know it, but you're realizing one of your deepest need for salvation in a world that is not operating as it should. But it's not Bavaria that's your problem. It's your own sin that's your problem. And a world ruined by the effects of sin and Satan and wickedness in high places. And you do need a savior. And I think that all of these Superman, even comic genre in general, speaks of we all sense a need for salvation. Again, we don't recognize it as that, but I think that's why some of these, and maybe I'm wrong, I'm curious where you're at on that. Do you think that's why some of these movies tap into us? Why it's so popular? Because we see this and it goes unrecognized in our own sinful heart.
You have me looking up at something. Yeah, here it is. Superman is, and please don't tune off as soon as you hear me say this is not blasphemy or sacrilege. Superman is Jesus. That was the point of the creation of Superman. Superman was created by two Jewish boys, Siegel and Schuster, and they made a character who was supposed to be basically just like Jesus. So the messianic savior motifs in the movies are intentional,
Yeah.
right? So and in this movie, it's a little less, it's a little more subtle, right?
Right. Right.
But do you remember watching? Do you remember Superman Returns?
Yes.
There's one line where he's talking. Superman is talking to Lois, and he says, "You say the world doesn't need a savior, but every day I hear people crying for one."
Yeah.
Um, so, in that movie, Superman Returns, the the picture, the Christ picture, is a little blatant. It's a
Yeah.
little, and in fact, I remember back then when Superman Returns came out, there were a whole lot of people who were very upset with the fact that it was very, knocking you over the head with
Yeah.
this character is basically Jesus. Um, so you're right. Um, there is a desire that we all have because it's our greatest need, the need for salvation, the need for forgiveness of sins, and I can't get that on my own.
Right.
I can try to save myself, and you and I both know, and your listeners hopefully know that in my own devices, I forget who it was, an old theologian who said, "You contribute nothing to your salvation other than the sin that makes you
Right.
in need of it in the first place." That's why we need the divine intervention of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So,
Now,
yeah.
pastors, don't dress like Superman on Sunday. This shouldn't be your next sermon series. Maybe an illustration somewhere, but it's not time to get the fog machine out and swoop in on cables or something.
Well, the little hashtag, not hashtag, the subtitle for this movie is "Look Up,"
Yeah.
right? So I've been thinking I got a youth rally next year. Look Up is just, I love that. So that's going to be showing up in at a youth rally here in Liberty, South Carolina at some
Well,
point.
if you want me to come and preach, I've got my Superman shirt already.
Is it? Oh, that is Superman, isn't it?
That is Superman.
It's a little dark. I couldn't. I just saw blue.
But all right. Well, I think I'm looking at the time, and we've gone a little over. No, than we normally do. But hey, again, I think it's a fun movie, and we pair it with a fun podcast.
Can I throw in a few just
Yes,
blips?
absolutely.
Few things I liked. I felt like the casting was perfect for
Yes.
all the characters. I thought the Justice Gang was great, especially
Hilarious, even.
Oh yes, they made the movie.
Yes.
Mr. Terrific was frankly the hero of the movie. Mr. Terrific was amazing.
Well, yeah, nothing
dare
would
I
have
say
happened without
terrific?
him.
What?
Nothing would have happened without him.
Right, exactly. Mr. Terrific was great and good character. Guy Gardner as the Green Lantern. At first, I was skeptical. I wanted Hal Jordan, but it worked out to be very good. Lex Luthor, best Lex Luthor ever.
But you say better than Gene Hackman.
Yes.
I can't go there.
I
I get to push back on that.
You're allowed to be wrong, but
I thought he was good, and I thought he's a good modern version of Lex. But I get
to put him up there with Gene Hackman, though, I mean that's saying something.
Yeah.
So even if you were to say that he is in second to that to him, still high praise. I mean, it's the whole Christopher Reeves, David Cornsweet deal. I mean, you're never going to be better than Christopher Reeves,
right?
But man, David Cornsweet, he got awful close.
Yeah, I'd say he was good. I can't. Okay. Oh, but as we're just popping through some things here, I did love the the action scene. So okay, so part of the thing they've cloned Superman. He's fighting Superman, but he studied every one of Superman's fighting moves, and so in this awesome fight scene, he's just like A1, A1, A2.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was just great. That was
And
just like on the edge of your seat. Um, just drew you right in, and I think again, uh, it feeds into more of our modern era of bringing Superman into a more just
well, Lex is playing a video game.
yeah, exactly
That's what he's doing.
right.
That's brilliant. And then his whole brains over brawn thing. It's like,
Oh yeah, yes,
this makes sense. This is, yeah, that was really good too.
and that's where crypto comes in again, in a hilarious, awesome, fun way.
Right. He wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
I loved seeing Metamorpho. Man, there's one other thing. Okay. I cannot give a review of this movie without mentioning this one scene, because there is an audible reaction to like 3 different parts of this movie. One was when is it Peacemaker or Peacekeeper, whatever his name is, he ends up on the screen and everyone laughed and thought it was hilarious. But the other time, and this is the moment where I said out loud, "Whoa." Where that woman is in the car and her car won't start, and the building's just about to fall on her car.
Oh yes.
And he holds the building, and then gives her enough time to pull down, and the building finally drops, and there's all that smoke that starts billowing up, and then you just see Superman rising up out of it. That was, oh my goodness, such beautiful cinematography. I got a little tear in my eye from that too. It's beautiful. Beautiful.
I was hoping
movie.
my son Tony would wake up, but I don't think he has yet. Getting late last night, so I give him a little bit of time this morning.
Sure.
But he grimaced at one point. Now, some of you know my son Tony. He just had shoulder surgery.
I know where you're going.
You know where I'm going with this already. He was a big basketball star here in high school as he wrapped up his senior year this year, and he's walking around with a big sling as his shoulder pops out in and out of place, and so hopefully this surgery will fix that. But there's one scene again where he's Superman is basically popping his shoulder back into place. I can see my son just, oh, I know exactly what that is. But, okay,
and he did it so effortlessly.
Yeah. So, and I've seen Tony do that. The only other irritating thing throughout the movie, when I brought my kids, as they're watching Superman, they keep looking at, Dad, is that you? Are you in this movie? I know it's hard to differentiate that in your mind, but anyway,
right.
My son's at that joke. So, but anyway, all right, we got to wrap this up. And
well, let me ask you one final question.
Yes.
Again, I want to answer it too. Scale of 1 to 10. With 1 being Snow White with Richard Ziegler, and 10 being The Muppets. The Muppets is my all-time favorite movie. I'm sorry. 10 being the best movie ever made. What's your scale?
Wow. I definitely wouldn't put The Muppets at 10, but I would say like 8.5.
Okay.
It was really good. I'll see it again, but I can't say it's like number 1 for me, or
right.
Number 10. It wasn't the best movie, but it was high up there.
Yes, yeah, I have it at 8 as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not it's not Titanic. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not the best movie that's ever been made, but it's a good
right.
movie.
You're going to enjoy it. You're going to eat some popcorn. You're going to have some fun,
Yeah.
and it's going to be enjoyable.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Curtis. On our recommended resource today, we're going to have a link to your page, because not only are you a moviegoer, but you are a pastor. You're an author. You've written several good books. Your book on Job, I think, is my favorite of your books. which was really poignant and a lot of great points. In fact, that's still the number one thing I still grab from that book. In fact, I'm teaching Old Testament survey this year, and I've included in my notes about Mrs. Job, Job's wife, because you give her a break that other people don't, and I appreciate that. But you got
it's nice to give people breaks.
Yes. You got to read Curtis's books because they're good, they're readable. You can sit there in one or two sittings and get through it, and it's gonna encourage you. It's gonna help you, but it's gonna bring you back to Christ. It's gonna bring you back to the gospel. And so I do want to recommend Curtis's writings on those. So Curtis, thank you so much for taking the time and just kind of having a little fun with me here today on the podcast.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure as always.
All right, amputedbaptist.com. Join us back next week. We're going to continue our series on Come Let Us Reason Together. It's going to be the big book recommendations. Dave Swanson's going to give his books. You're not going to be able to write those down. I'm going to put those in the show notes for you. But anyway, so that's next week. So until then, have a good rest of your week.
Singing praises, strumming banjo strings all day. Amputated Baptist Podcast, where we all belong. Join the harmony, let it carry us along.